because I was about to start a third book, and the book was going to be on the topic of water. And I work with the United Nations sometimes, and one of my United Nations partners said, if you're going to do a book about water, he said, you get a lot of newspaper attention, you've been on TV before, why don't you draw the attention of water to South Africa, where there are 700 school villages without running water? And I couldn't believe when he told me that. And I used to be a teacher, and he told me it was the school, how the schools were suffering. So I started to do some research, and I chose an area of Carisbrook Elementary School in Ikopo, and I chose that because I read the book Alan Paton's Cry the Beloved Country, and that book and that whole area is the story revolves around that area, and it's about prejudice and it's about poverty, and I was so struck by that book and that story that I decided that's where I'm gonna go. And I found Carisbrook School, and all the way from the United States I started to do my research, and I went, everyone in the United States, they thought I was crazy because I said I'm going to get on a plane and I'm going to go there because I want to make sure it's real, and I want to make sure they really do not, they need water. So I got on a plane, and that was in May of 2006, and I flew out to Africa all by myself, never being here before, not knowing what to expect. And the school principal picked me up from the airport. The village took me in like I was family, and from there I did all of the research. I walked with the grandmothers to see where they were fetching water. I saw them with my own eyes drinking from ponds with animals, and you have to realize I had never seen anything like that. So I was so devastated, I was so upset that I had the money in the bank from a sponsor to produce a new book, but I thought to myself, why would I be spending money on producing a book when with that money I could, right now, I could put a water well in the ground? And it was kind of a crazy thing because I'm not an engineer and I didn't have the experience, but I hired a drilling team, and in 10 days of being there, I put a water well in my first school. That's where it all started. I had no idea that from the water I would be inspiring people so much, because once they got water, it gave them new life, and it gave them hope, and it gave them spirit. And every time I returned, they showed me something else they did because of the water. And then the gardens started to grow, and the orphans started to be fed, and I thought, how do I stop? How can I stop doing it? A whole list of principals, they came from other schools, they came down to meet me and shake my hand, begged me, please, can we be next? So before you knew it, I started a company, I started bringing on volunteers, I started telling my story, and that's how it all began.
Since 2006, how much money would you say you spent in helping others?
Probably between in-kind service and money that was donated, I'm guessing maybe close to $200,000 USA has been in-kind service donated. The water company has given some, but I would say probably at this point over 20,000 people have been helped or touched in some way by one little group spreading what we're doing and expanding.
I also noticed that you got students.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yes. Well, I used to be a teacher years ago, and I love children, and I also love to work with older students. And I think one of the things I'm best at in my life is inspiring others. And everything I've done, even when I produced my book, I always brought students along to observe what I was doing. So in this case, at Carisbrook, when I put in the water well, I didn't have enough money to put in the pump. I didn't realize it was two different costs. I rounded up a bunch of students in my community in 2006, and I had worked with them before, and I told them my story, and they all went out and fundraised for me, and they came to Africa in 2006, and they paid for the electric pump to go in the ground. So it gave me the idea that students can come here, and not only can they learn and learn how to be a giving citizen and a global citizen, but they could also practice whatever talents they have. Arian here is a good writer, so this is a perfect place for him to practice writing. Arian also is interested in maybe going into the medical field, so he could come here and practice with that. So not only am I helping the people in South Africa, but I'm inspiring the future, and I'm also inspiring some Zulu teenagers to come along on this journey with me as well.
The change that you want to see in helping these people, what would you want? I mean, what change do you, by coming here, by donating, by doing all these good deeds, what would you want to see happening? What is the change that you want to see?
Everything that I wanted to see happen has happened. It's the government and the people who really do have the money and are putting it in their pockets. That's heartbreaking to me. But there's the people in the villages. I don't know. I could cry to tell you. They've given me everything. They would give me the shirt off their back, and they have never disappointed me. And everything I do for them, they expanded. And I can't ask more of that. And I feel that the whole reason why it works so well between myself and the villagers is because they know that I give them the pride of self-worth, and I make them see that you can do some of this yourself. It's not about charity, it's about self-sufficiency, and it's about teaching them how to help themselves. It's not about me taking credit or control, it's about me leaving, and then you all learn something new to teach others. Beth is going to go home. Our nurse today is going to go home, and she's going to leave behind 22 workers that will go out into the field and now teach other people. So do you see how the process, it's spreading, and it doesn't take me. I'm not the hero. I'm not going to be the one spreading it. The people themselves will be spreading.
I heard that you brought medical kits. I mean, just
yes,
Beth, the things that you brought.
Beth Knox, the nurse, brought 700 pounds of medical equipment. A hospital in the United States called Monmouth Medical donated bedpans, syringes, gauze, stethoscopes, blood pressure kits. The problem is, again, I believe it's part of its corruption. They wouldn't release. They have not released the supply. It's ridiculous. And it should not have happened because our team on the other side agreed to pay for everything, and so
they have paid for everything.
They have paid for everything, and that's why we don't think this is right. I mean, I don't know if you want this on
oh yes, I want to. I'm a journalist. I need to.
It makes me very upset, and I want to know why. When we were told that everything would be taken care of, I believe they're holding the supply, saying that we didn't have what we were needed, and every day that they're there, they're charging us for storage space.
And how are you going to find out that the articles that were in storage are still intact? I mean, how are you going to find out that nothing has been stolen from what you...
Well, we did have a supply list. So there is a supply list. And I will tell you, I will not leave South Africa until I have those. If I have to go in person and knock on the door and go get them myself, I may be small, but I will...
I need to follow up on that.
I will, and I would appreciate your help with that. I mean, if a journalist appeared, maybe the supplies would appear in our hands quicker.
Maybe I can alert the national news. I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad because we came here hoping to use those supplies. The young lady that was sitting there, Caroline, as a part of her Girl Scout award, she spent months making little kits that have a toothbrush, toothpaste, you know, for the children in the schools and also for the healthcare workers to give out. She collected 2,000 of those little packets. So we were expecting all the schools that we would visit, we would be giving them out, and now we don't have them. They were supposed to be a part of our trip.
Okay.
So,
will you be visiting South Africa anytime soon?
I will probably be. Will I be back? You mean? I will. I'm hoping to be back in November.
Okay. And how do you find South Africa so far? I mean, since you've been here, since the first
I
time
love
you
that. I love that.
What do you love the most about it?
I love the people. I love the land. The land is like Mother Earth. I mean, and you have to realize, I go out into the most rural. I get to see the beauty of South Africa. I get to see the beauty of the people. I get to see the pureness of what Africa is about. So that's why I keep coming back. If it was bad to me, if it was a bad experience, I would never come back again. And now I love it so much. I mean, Arian could tell you that I just spread that passion. They know, they feel the love, they felt the love I had for Africa before they even came here. I think they did.
I'm sure that the people that you've been helping, they look at you as, please forgive me for using this, but as a Mother Teresa for them. Now, what would you want them to look at you as? How would you want them to see you? Like, what would you want them to
I
do?
always wanted to be Mother Teresa. I mean, as far as a role model, who better? I read about her. She is my. That's funny that you said that, because she's my role model. And when I say my prayers, I pray to her.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. Can I get your contact details? I'm thinking,
Yes.
in case at a later stage I need to contact you,
Yes,
try to find out more details.
I
things
have.
like that.
I think I have a business card with me. And if not, I'll write it down for you.
Oh yes, and the future medical writer, I would like to have your contacts, please, sir.
Oh yeah, here. Let me,
Maybe he could send you the articles that he produces, and
Yeah.
you could send him.
I would like
Yeah,
to keep
definitely.
communicating with you guys. I mean, this is a very
Well, why don't
interesting-
you follow? I mean, every time I come, I could tell you. I'd like you to also see the schools that I'm working at and all the work I've done there. Where do you live?
I live in Coxted.
So are you
You went
help-
past Coxted on the way here, or you went through Franklin?
How,
I'm not sure.
How far are you from, like, the Carisbrook School? How far are you from Ikoku?
From Ikoku, that's about 140 kilometers, plus minus 160 kilometers.
Well, I'm going to be at that school all day on.